Hi, I'm Brianna, and I am doing a speech on education and the standards that go along with education and what is wrong with the standards for my English composition class, which two. And here it goes. Education plays a key role in today's society, marking the readiness and experience for a job. However, education is not as standardized as a minimum wage job and in fact varies much more than it should. As previously stated, there is a national issue involving public school standards and how the standards and assessments of students are not always accurate and truly meaningful. To complicate standards even more, the states regulate what students in public schools are required to be taught and what teachers teach in each grade level. So there's not one, but 50 different school standards throughout the United States, at least. The issue of school standards is being highlighted now more than ever has because of the lack of care students have for school in mostly the United States, and the education is not equal from one state to the next, leaving it to be a continuous problem that will not fix itself. It's an infinity loop. The current national issue of public school standards is failing drastically, and more specifically, high school students and the core studies of writing, reading, and mathematics. The problem of school standards is linked to the minimal amount of guidelines for teachers from elementary school to high school and the lack of challenging studies within the schools. Whether it be AP classes, college prep classes, there's a lot of variation. Due to the lack of challenging studies and minimal guidelines for teachers, this leads towards an unequal learning outcome throughout the United States. Schmidt and Kogan state an argument saying, "We assume that unequal achievement outcomes are not the result of unequal access to education opportunities, but rather the result of unequal distribution of individual abilities and ambition." That statement shows both sides and explains that abilities and ambitions with each individual vary, as well as the education distribution. From teachers to students to anyone in the school district, everything varies. Another vast issue on the topic of school standards is the way that the curriculum is taught. With this current system, students do not take away from class what is intended for them, because teachers decide what they want to teach and how they want to present it. Most of the time, students are not actually learning and remembering the intended material. They just kind of forget it. It just leaves them because it's not interesting to them and their ambition is low. To learn, research has shown that teachers in the same building teaching the same course will teach completely different versions of the curriculum, claiming that they are teaching the state standard and what is supposed to be taught. Teachers can teach the same class from the same exact book, but the difference in subject matter and the daily lessons can be completely different than the intended curriculum because of the way presented. We let our teachers teach how they want, not the way they should be teaching. Instead of learning it the correct way, they learn the teacher's habits, how they would go about it, whether it's the right way or the wrong way, because that's the way the teacher taught them. With this way of teaching, when it is time for the students to take the test in the curriculum, whether it be a final or a state test, it's difficult for them to score high on these since they were taught the way the teacher had thought to be correct, rather than the curriculum expects. The teacher may have covered some of the curriculum, but not enough for all the students to score well in these tests. They could have left out some parts, they could have taught more than they should have that they didn't need to know. Because of this, many of the tests, whether they be national, state, or district, or any other kind, will sort out the higher scoring students from the lower scoring students. Much of the time, blaming the students for scoring low rather than looking and seeing that it could possibly be the way the teacher had taught them and how they presented the material. The variety of standards from school to school district to district, and state to state, is another topic on why we need to revamp our current school standards. It is a known fact that many kids all over the country move and are required to attend different schools, whether they move from district to district, state to state, or just move to another country. With our current system, a lot of the time when they move, they'll either be ahead of the current grade level and in some classes or behind because we currently don't have a nationwide curriculum that requires every school to be the same. Some schools don't have graduation projects, some schools do. Some schools require test to exit grades, some don't. This is also the same for private and charter schools, which most of the time they teach completely different topics at their public procedures to those students whom are required to move to another school. This can have a large impact on passing the class, whether it be grades, standardized tests, or just classes in general. All in all, the issue of school standards not only stems from the multiple state standards, but from teachers as well. The current system we use has a large impact on the students attending school, whether it be grades, test scores, or even learning habits. The way the teachers teach is how the students learn. We need to teach students, all the students in the country, in the same way, in a way that they actually learn what's required, not what the teacher thinks is correct. From the students who are required to move to the students who are switched to private schools or to charter schools, or whether they've been in the same school their entire life, all the students of the United States are affected, whether it be the judgment from the school district based off test scores or the constantly changing curriculum. And the current system of school standards needs to be changed for our current and future students to succeed and meet all of our expectations, because education plays a key role on whether one gets a decent job or whether one does not. However, it does not determine intelligence unless education is taught completely the same from state to state, from school to school, from anything. Thank you.